The Street Corner Soapbox. The Street Corner Soapbox with Falso and Willin. Podcast takeover. We're making a killing. Music to nightlife. Debauchery and street news. Serving it hot. We are some street news, movies and mayhem. The craziest guests, words from chaos. Get it off our chest, Rhode Island, worldwide, dark corners in all places. Speak how we live, radio show, smoking aces. Ladies and gents, for the people we're talking. Take the show on the road, right where you're walking. Yeah.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Street Corner Soapbox Podcast coming to you live.
That's right, boys and girls. Street Corner Soapbox. Now, we all know during this crazy time with the pandemic, businesses are struggling. So we're here to support local businesses, and we need your help to do so also.
That's right. So subscribe to our Patreon, become a member to help support the show, and receive exclusive episodes and bonus content, as well as discounts on merch. That's patreon.com/streetcorner_soapbox2020.
Follow us on our website, streetcornersoapbox.com.
That's right, boys and girls. Street Corner Soapbags. We are back. I'm here with my brother, Lord Willin.
Hey, how you doing?
What do you hear? What do you say?
What do you hear? What do you say?
Where with the Vipers? Where with the Vipers?
Hey, with the Vipers.
The best. What up, motherfucker?
Nah, man, you know, another fucking week. We got 4 more episodes in the fucking book, so it's time for the old...
We have more. We have way more than 4, but...
but that we released.
Exactly.
So it's time for the old recap for the people, you know. For those that are sleeping and not listening, maybe they fall into this and they go back and listen to these other episodes that we're talking about.
Yeah, well, I'll give you a little recap on everybody, so maybe something that we talk about here on a previous guest you might find interesting and then want to listen to their episode.
If you haven't already, which I hope you have, but if you haven't, now you will.
Exactly.
Yeah, buddy.
Logistics.
So our first, well, not our first guest, but the first guest we're going to recap was my brother, the almighty Hoya Roc.
Hoya Roc.
Bassist, longtime bassist for the infamous, the one and only, the legends themselves, Madball, New York Hardcore.
Hell yeah, man.
You know, it was great to have Hoya on. He's been in the band over 20 years. He's been on the scene longer than that. And he's one of the, you know, they are one of the, I should say they are one of the staples of the New York hardcore scene. When you think New York hardcore, you think Madball along with a few other bands.
Yeah, I don't think anytime we had a guest on that it fucks with hardcore or that scene in general, I don't think they've never not said Madball.
No, because you even said to me.
Or that agnostic front.
Yeah, well, because Rob, you know, Rob's just learning kind of about the scene now, and he was like, yo, all the, you know, these people that we're having on that are into hardcore, like, they keep saying agnostic front, and I was like, yeah, I mean, they're the fucking godfathers of the scene, and Madball is kind of like, you know, they were after, you know, they were like the next ones.
Yeah.
Basically.
The next wave.
Well, originally, Madball was agnostic front with Freddie as a kid on vocals.
Yeah.
And, you know, the lineup changed over the years, but...
Yeah, and I would say to people listening, if you're not familiar with hardcore or metal and stuff like that, you should just tap into it. Even you're going to find something that you like, but like, yeah. If you're like us, I mean, I'm 34, was born in the 80s.
I thought you were 21.
Yeah, I fucking actually don't even wish I was 21.
I know, I don't either.
I wish I was like 30 again, would be fine.
Well, that's only a couple of years.
Yeah,
so.
I know. I just rewind 4 years, I'm good. But yeah, it is very, very intertwined. It's a culture thing too. So like, if you're like me, I wasn't really big into hardcore. Not that I wasn't into it.
Just didn't.
Yeah,
really
it just
know.
wasn't. You know, I always listen to hip hop and underground hip hop and stuff like that.
But you listen to rock too.
Yeah, I listen to country, rock, fucking outlaw shit. I listen to everything.
Yeah.
And I you know, I'll still listen to hardcore. No, more so now because I understand the culture of it.
Right.
And that's a big thing. Same thing with the graffiti. I fuck with them.
Yeah, man.
And everything's kind of intertwined. Even the hip hop, even going back to the 80s and early 90s.
Yeah.
You know, and you kind of can see how it all like, how it kind of like blends together. You know, it's
man.
actually fucking cool. I mean, we did other guests. You know, I don't think we're talking about him this week, but
yeah. Well, the interesting thing is, we had a guest on recently, and I didn't even know.
Yeah, shout out to Chris from Robots.
Yeah, Robots Will Kill. Big up. I didn't even know he was a hardcore dude. Because Rob reached out to him initially, and during we were talking,
started talking about,
and I'm like,
graffiti.
oh shit, yep. I'm like, okay, word, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is another connection through that scene, and it's crazy because people might stereotype the scene, right? But there's so many different kinds of people that were involved, that are still involved, that have branched out into other areas of life.
Yeah.
Like become doctors, lawyers, politicians, fucking priests, like, artists. I mean, just...
Yeah, if you're born in the late 70s or you're born in the 80s...
And I don't mean Catholic priests either. Shout out to Josh Painter. You're going to hear that one coming up soon, too.
What up, Josh?
But, yeah, man, it's not just like, this one little... underground scene where everyone's just fucking these maniacs and they're criminals and fucking outcasts. I mean, we are, I should say, but people have progressed and grown up and evolved into other areas. They created
a stereotype towards it too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and the thing is,
they don't understand the culture.
No, they don't, and they might see it and say, "Who are these fucking crazy hooligans?"
I got tattoos on your face.
Yeah, people are quick to stereotype. I've had it done to me for a long time. And people might not say that they do, but they definitely do. I mean, we're all guilty probably of stereotyping someone out at some point. It's just part of probably human nature to do so because you're ignorant to certain things. But this scene is very community based. It's like a family at the end of the day, and then there's families within families.
Yeah,
and
everybody's super humble too. Just because they got stop judging people. Just because I got tattoos on my fingers don't mean I'm a dickhead. I mean, I'm a dickhead, but I'll still help you jump your car.
Some of the nicest people are some of the craziest looking. You know what I'm saying? I found that out firsthand, and it's the absolute truth, man. It's cliche, but you cannot judge a book by its cover, and I've learned that. And again, we still make these judgments, but I try to correct them. Like if I judge somebody too soon, which I have, I try to correct them. And then sometimes when you meet someone and you talk to them, you're like, wow, that's not how I thought it was going to go.
At all.
And I've said that to Rob too a couple times, like, wow, that's not how I thought it was going to go. And I was pleasantly surprised, but I shouldn't have even made that judgment. I should have just kept an open mind.
I think that's what you're getting back to, what you were saying. Everybody's kind of like, it's like embedded in them. And then, I've done that to people and like, fucking, what the fuck is this guy doing? And then it's like, that dude's mad cool. Like, but I was thinking a certain way because he pulled up in a Prius and he had fucking Crocs on. And I was like, who is this fucking guy? I was like, that dude's mad cool. He hyped me on some shit.
Yeah. Well, and back to Madball. I mean, people hear the music hardcore and say, they probably think it's violent music.
Yeah,
they see the
associate
shows
it with just fucking the pit, dude.
Well, the moshing, the fucking slam dancing, the intensity of the shows. But the music, it like art, is a reflection of culture. Art imitates life. So we live in a violent fucking society. You know what I'm saying? So this is music and culture that reflects that. That's not all that it reflects, but you got to understand, just like rap, it's the same shit. It's basically speaking on the streets, what's going on the streets, what's going on in the everyday struggle of our lives that we can relate to. And that's another thing about hardcore that separates it, and punk rock, I should say, too, that separates it maybe from other styles of music. It's speaking on the day-to-day fucking struggle, feeling like a fucking outcast, not fitting in. And we've all, well, maybe not all, but a lot of us have felt like that. I know I did, and that's one thing that drew me to that scene. Like, I grew up pretty much a hip-hop kid. I mean, I was like rock, too, and metal and stuff like that. And I just felt I was at a place in my life, I don't know, I guess I felt outcasted or whatever, and I really got into hardcore and punk rock, and then going to the shows and meeting people, I felt like I belonged there. You know what I'm saying? It was like a bunch of people just like me, about brotherhood, about family, about loyalty, respect, honor, not just talking that shit, but living it and holding you to a standard, And that's what I felt that I needed, in that I felt like everyone should live like that. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't. And we've all been stabbed in the back and fucked over. So we know how motherfuckers get. But in my experience, some of the realest people I ever met were through this scene. People that are my family now. So to me, and Hoya's one of them. And Madball, their legacy is unmatched, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just have one of the greatest legacies to come out of that scene. And, along with AF. And, I mean, there's a bunch of bands. There's a bunch of pioneers and legendary bands, but Madball is definitely, at the top of the list. And I'm glad he came on and really also gave a great history of New York City, how much has changed from back in the day, and a lot of people might not realize that, because you got to think how, like, I've gone to New York a lot in my life. I don't know how many times you've been.
Not that many.
Yeah. See, I've been going to New York.
Not enough where I'd be able to compare like the early 90s.
Well, yeah, I couldn't do that either. But I know New York pretty well. But the New York that like Hoya grew up in and those guys was completely different than the New York that we've seen. You know what I mean? I've probably been going to New York since I was in maybe high school. You know what I mean? But I'm talking 80s, 90s here. And it was a fucking war zone, dude. It was crazy. I mean, it was not what it is now. Now it's like native New Yorkers now are like, it's strange to them. And these are people that are from New York City. They're like, yo, what the fuck? Like, what's going on? And other guests we've had on from New York have said the same thing. We've talked to people and asked them those same questions.
A lot of hipsters.
So many hipsters, so many transplants. And listen, people are going to move and migrate, and New York's one of the greatest cities on earth. So there's so much industry there, at least pre-COVID. So I understand people wanting to go to New York, because people go there to try to make it, just like they go to L.A. You know what I mean? New York's another hub for that. But it's like the toughness, the tenacity of the city is not what it once was in those early days. Like, I mean, go if you haven't heard that episode, go listen to it, because you're gonna get a great insight.
Yeah, check out Hoya's podcast
into the early days of New York City, man. When it was like a free for all. You know what I'm saying? It was just. I wish I got to see it, because there's not much like it now. You know what I'm saying?
Philadelphia, like probably close.
I don't know. I mean, I've been to Philly. I've been to Philly a few times, but I can't say. I didn't spend enough time there to really say. I don't know. I actually, what it sounds like is Germany. There's parts in Germany, like Berlin, that is still fucking like that.
Yeah.
That's what a couple people we had on were saying. Yeah. Hoya, and then Richie. We interviewed Richie. Stay tuned for that episode from Wisdom in Chains. Richie Crutch. He was saying that as well. He was like, Germany, Berlin, it's still like, it reminds people of the old school New York. So, yeah, man. But that was a great episode. Thank you to Hoya for coming on. Make sure you check out his podcast, Smoking Word Podcast. Check out his clothing line, Casa de Rock. He has a new band coming out called True Union. New Madball album on the way, which I look forward to. And, just support everything that he does. Support the movement. And, man, that was a good one.
Oh, yeah.
And after that, we had on the infamous, the Providence legend.
Jerry Tillinghast.
We
actually had some video for that. The full video will be posted at some point.
Yeah. Dave Bancourt. Shout out to Dave Bancourt on the video.
Yeah, for sure. You got a little clip it in there on social media, and then we do have our actual audio episode up. So you can listen, hear some crazy stories. I mean, Jerry's class act, 100% stand-up guy. Shout out to Jared too.
Yeah,
legendary boxer, Gym North Providence,
Indeed.
Smith Street.
Yeah, Jerry, that was a great. I mean, talking about perspectives from the old days. I mean, now we're talking 60s, 70s, 50s.
Yeah, Jerry's like 75, I think, right?
Around there, and he was able to give us a great insight into what our home state, what Providence was like back in those days, and it was a different scene. You know what I'm saying? Sure. It was a different place. I mean, I've heard the stories, obviously, growing up from
when you're from Rhode Island. Everybody hears the stories. You know what I mean? But it was cool to be able to sit down with Jerry and talk to him. And
someone
get his perspective that walk.
I mean, well, think about it too. I mean, we hear stories growing up from
our parents
and neighbors, but now we're hearing a story from someone who was in a different world.
Well, you're hearing the story.
You know what I mean?
You're hearing the story from somebody that the people are telling the stories about.
Exactly, right. Because let me say this. I grew up hearing the tales of these guys. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I grew up hearing about different people in that world. And Jerry was one of those people. You know what I'm saying? That, like you said, people would tell the stories about, Jerry Tillinghast or
Harold.
Yeah, exactly. And I grew up hearing those names. I grew up in Providence. I grew up 5 minutes from Federal Hill.
Yeah, my stepfather actually played them in softball at the ACI.
There you go. So, I mean, exactly. Those are infamous names.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Especially out here. I mean, one of the oldest families out here. I mean,
that too.
Dating back to 1625, I think. Don't quote me on that.
Something like that. 1600s, yeah.
Which is cool being able to, you spread a little bit of light on that. And that's pretty interesting, too, be able to track your heritage that far back.
Well, his heritage dates back to Roger Williams. Yeah. His ancestor was Pardon Tillinghast.
Yep.
He was he came here from I think from England, and he linked up with Roger Williams, and there's a lot of history with the Tillinghast name. It's like a huge family too. They have like massive family reunions,
like 300 fucking people.
Yeah, man, it's a big family. But Jerry obviously carved out his own niche on the streets of Providence.
Yep.
You know, and was involved in a certain lifestyle. You should read the book if you really want to get all the details about that. Choices, you make them, you own them. Words to live by, man.
Jerry Tillinghast story. You can get that at Barnes and Nobles, Amazon.
Anywhere you can get books.
Exactly.
And that's a great read, you know.
Yeah, really easy read too. If you're from the area, you're interested in the crime genre. You definitely will. I mean, you could read it in like pretty much one sitting.
I would say too, even if you're just into the history of things, like it's a great read. Even if you're not maybe a true crime person, but you want to read about some history of you know, Rhode Island or of how things were back then.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about this. A lot of books come out these days about that period. You know what I'm saying? But probably more than half of them are written by informants.
Yeah.
Written by, you know, people that were on the outside and that embellished things, but Jerry was the real deal. You know what I mean? He did his time. He did almost 30 years in jail. That man's a stand-up. You know, he's a stand-up as they get. You know what I'm saying?
And a life sentence.
Yeah.
And then some.
Yeah, exactly. So you're getting the story from not only someone who lived it, but someone who stuck to the code. You know what I'm saying? And that code is
the last of a dying breed.
He is the last of a dying breed. That code is, you know, a lot of people don't value it anymore, you know, unfortunately. And he's a testament to that code.
Yep.
You know? So it's definitely worth checking out. Choices, you make them, you own them. You know? How many people own their fucking choices?
Not that many. That's why the streets are filled with fucking rats, dude.
Dude, it's a damn shame what happened. The streets were better back in the day, man. People, you know,
looked out for one another.
Law enforcement painted certain pictures of certain people.
Back in the day, you didn't have a hotline, so you get a rat on your neighbors for having too many people at your house on Thanksgiving.
Yo, that's crazy, man. But like, yo, at the end of the day, people did what they did to make a living, right? But these guys, they kept, you know, for the most part, kept the communities fucking safe that they lived in. The streets were a lot safer, I think. That, you know, there was crime going on, but there's always been crime going on.
There still is.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to stop ever.
At least you were protected back then.
Exactly, and there was rules. You know what I'm saying? There was rules that people lived by. They upheld certain codes and principles, and you know what I'm saying. And if someone didn't, then they had to face the fucking consequences. Now it's just a fucking free for all. It's unorganized crime. It's fucking chaos. You know what I'm saying? And you see it. Just fucking look at the news. Look, you know what I'm saying? It's not, there's no, you don't have those guardians. Like, these guys were local, like, guardians of the neighborhoods. People went to them with their problems and if they had issues, and these guys would help them out because people didn't trust the cops either, you know, at that point. You know what I'm saying? They could get things done a lot faster going to, you know,
fucking still, and look at now, people. They don't trust them now.
Oh, even worse.
You know what I mean?
But the thing is, there's not really many figures in the community anymore like some of these guys. Nope. You know what I mean?
No, there should be.
Yeah, no, definitely. You know? And these are people you can relate to, you know what I'm saying, that are right there in the neighborhood, you know what I'm saying, in the street.
You see them every day. They know your name. They know your mother. They know your cousins. They know your whole family. Yeah. You guys grew up together. You fucking...
Exactly. You know? And yeah, guys were running rackets, but people have always been running rackets. You know, that doesn't make you...
They're still I mean, it's all the same. People just like to classify it that way. Like my grandma told me, she's like, they're great people. They're great people. They're great people. It's like they'll never do anything to you or me. That's just their business. You know what I mean? They're not out killing kids and fucking.
Well, that's how it was.
They might kill somebody, but it's but now that you got all the everybody
it's different
else
now.
Stabbings on Federal Hill every fucking week.
Well, the whole neighborhood's different up there. But it's different. I mean, even that world, you know, it's not what it was. You know, no. I mean, we don't have to get into a whole go down the whole rabbit hole about that on this recap. But things have changed. You know what I'm saying? We know that. But back in the day, in the heyday, the golden era, it was a different place. These guys were you know, they were local fucking legends. Celebrities, yeah, man. And people are fascinated with that lifestyle because it's not a lifestyle that the common person really understands. They might see it in the movies. And that's another thing. Jerry really gives you the realities of it. You know, you read that book, you understand the realities of living that life. It's not glamorous at the end of the day. You're going to end up doing a lot of prison time. Yeah. You're going to end up in there's not too many guys who retire free. You know what I'm saying?
And flat, and they die in jail or they end up ratting.
That's what it is nowadays.
Get killed, man. You know. Yeah. But he did it. He's walking, talking proof of it. So
you know what someone said? I don't want to go deep into it, but someone said once that if no one ratted, there'd be less people in jail.
Yeah, of course.
If one guy got pinched, right, and he's facing 20 years, and he takes his 20 years and doesn't rat on anybody, then Rico goes to shit. Exactly. So that's how it should be.
And RICO is what stops all organized crime pretty much. So.
Yeah, I mean, they had to come up with something because people were just getting too powerful. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because they were fucking... Yeah, and that's another crazy thing is because, I mean, besides Bobby Kennedy's a fucking douchebag, but they were dealing with the government at that point because they were more powerful. Yeah. You know? So, and they were bringing all the money, and they needed the money that, I mean, and you can go back to... watching the docs with Luciano getting out of prison, going back to Italy, and then Cuba and all this shit. But you know, people don't really understand that too. They think, oh, they're just bad, but they were working hand in hand with the government at times when the government couldn't actually get a hold on things. They went to the mob, right? You know, and then once they were too powerful, then you know they stepped in and kind of You know,
certain powers that be couldn't have them reaching that level.
I mean, Bobby Kennedy was a dick, and then whatchamacallit, fucking.
Well, I think Bobby Kennedy did it because, let's be real, his father was a known bootlegger, was a known associate of organized crime.
They got the election for him.
Went
for the brother
to certain people to help get JFK elected.
If Joe Kennedy never got sick, it probably would have went different, but he was sick. You know?
And I think I heard that Robert Kennedy felt shamed by this and said... you know, that was part of his motivation to really cracking down.
Make it his life goal to fucking go against kind of his father was doing.
Yes, exactly.
And they wouldn't even be the Kennedys without him.
No, exactly. They wouldn't be the Kennedys, you know what I'm saying, without fucking, you know, the underworld. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what his dad was doing. He made a fortune on bootlegging. You know what I'm saying? So he had all those ties. And, you know,
I mean, that's how all the money was made back then, regardless.
And this isn't even a fucking conspiracy. I mean, this is what really happened. You can look it up. You can read about it. You know what I'm saying? It's the proof is in the pudding, you know? And let's be real, too. I mean, a lot of these guys were businessmen. They were trying to transition into different areas of legal activity, and they could run businesses. And they eventually, if they would have stayed in power, you probably would have saw a lot of those guys, you know, just involved with legitimate business, maybe politics, but certain government agencies weren't having that. You know what I'm saying? I have a question
for you. Who do you think was worse, more trifling? Thomas Dewey?
Yep.
Or Bobby Kennedy?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Different time periods, but same malicious fucking...
Yeah, Dewey was Lucky Luciano era.
Yep.
And Bobby Kennedy was later on, like the 50s and 60s.
Like Giancana and fucking...
I don't know. That's a fucking... I don't know, man. Who do you think?
Dude, I don't know. I mean, Bobby Kennedy really fucking fucked. I would say Bobby Kennedy for the simple fact is that they helped swing the votes for John to get elected.
Right.
And you hear that we killed their wrong brother. You know what I mean? They said that. So, allegedly. But, you know, so I think that's worse. Like, Dewey was just a cocksucker fucking trying to run everyone out of town.
Yeah.
Where Bobby Kennedy... You guys used the mob, and then now you're going to go after them. Like you did a fucking shady fucking thing. You know what I mean?
They did. Dude.
So I think Bobby
I would say so
would be
too.
worse. Dewey was doing his fucking job where he was making it a point to fucking fuck with them after knowing he got help.
I think Dewey was more like he made it known that he was anti-corruption and fucking he was a straight shooter with that. And the thing with
they wanted to take the shot on him too, and they denied it. You know, because the commission denied it. But
it was Dutch Schultz, right? Dutch Schultz wanted to have him killed, and I think Luciano said no.
Yeah, because he was torturing him. You know,
right?
And then he ended up fucking getting him. So they should have.
But Dutch Schultz was also out of control. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? He was one of those guys. He probably wasn't going to last very long anyway.
Yeah, somebody would have got him eventually.
I mean, that whole wild style, you know, fucking crazy.
Elliot Ness.
I mean, that shit doesn't last, man. up until present day. You know what I'm saying? The smartest criminals are the low key, fucking blending in. You know, going to work, fucking doing whatever. But
who were you talking about?
Dutch Schultz.
Oh, Dutch Schultz.
He's the one that wanted to whack Dewey.
Yeah,
but he was crazy. You know, and that's why he had a short reign.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And you can't.
Somebody would have. I figured. I'm surprised they actually didn't. They denied that, but they didn't want to deal. They didn't want the heat brought on them because it was a government official.
Yeah, of course.
But at the same time, think about it now. You might as well fucking kill the motherfucker or just get rid of him.
Yeah.
They could. They might have because they were on him. After that, they're on you anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, technically they're already on you.
I know. I don't know, man. That's the thing with the Kennedys is they were involved in that world to especially obviously the father was.
Yeah.
And I mean the brothers, I don't know, but I mean they were into some shit though. They were fucking
banging Marilyn Monroe.
They were doing who knows what they were. Yeah, and who knows the other shit that never came out. You know what I'm saying? Like they were more seedy. They were more. They were in that gray area.
Yeah, and
Dewey was like a straight, I'm a fucking politician, a fucking,
Well, it makes it hard. You know what to expect. You knew what to expect from Dewey because you knew he was just going to come after you and do that. You can avoid him. Bobby, half of you thought that, we're good, we can do what we want. Maybe you fucking, because you helped Joe and John out, maybe you're like, all right, so Bobby's going to relax. And then you do things more freely or you're not as careful because you think you have their back because back then, government and them worked together a lot.
Yeah.
And then look what happened,
That's true.
But yeah, fuck Bobby Kennedy.
A lot of people like John, though.
I like John.
Yeah.
But John, fucking poor bastard.
Yeah, I know. Well, I don't know, man. That's a whole show in itself.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
There's been tons of shows on it.
That definitely has. That's a whole... I mean, there's been so much things written, books and shows and documentaries. I mean, we can go on and on. But, all right, so let's move on.
So Jerry Tillinghast, check out his book.
Yes.
Listen to the podcast.
Yes. Join his Patreon, too. It's True Crime PVD. You'll get exclusive content of him talking about, the old days.
He's got great stories. Talks about me and Gotti.
Yeah.
Bunch of different stuff.
Yeah,
so
man.
definitely, guys, listen to it.
Yeah,
check
man.
out. Good book. Easy fucking read, too.
Yes.
I can't stress that enough.
Yep.
Very, very easy. Well written.
Yep.
But, you're not squinting. The letters are a little bigger, so you can really rip through it. It's good.
Yeah,
really
no
good
doubt.
book.
So the next guest after that was my brother, Coach Tye Tonkin, from Sanda Fighting Arts in Watertown, Massachusetts, right outside of Boston. He recently opened the gym in the summer, and he's doing this thing over there, man, teaching how to kick ass, man. Fucking Sanda. It's a Chinese style of kickboxing. I guess somewhat similar. Definitely has similarities to Muay Thai, but there's also a lot of differences. But listen to the episode to get the full breakdown of all that.
Yeah, he has a bunch of cool stories too, man.
Yeah, man.
About the old Chinese guy.
Yeah, he went to China when he was 16.
Yeah, and some kid was like waving at him through the window. He was like practicing.
Yeah.
They brought him to some courtyard.
That's some movie shit. I never heard that story either.
Wicked cool. We're not going to tell you too much about it because I want you guys to listen to the episode.
Yeah.
And definitely check out Sanda Fighting Arts Studio.
Yeah, Sanda Fighting Arts in Watertown.
Great gym, super clean. Big space.
It is.
I mean, Ty's great anyway.
Yeah, man.
But, you guys definitely want to get into it.
Yeah,
Definitely
and speaking from personal experience, I train over
Chris
there.
does train there.
And Ty is a great instructor and a great person, great instructor, very knowledgeable, has the experience. So also if you're looking to get into it and you're in the area, go over there and check it out. Tell them Street Corner Soapbox sent you. You know what I'm saying? I always love talking about fighting and martial arts and promoting that world because it's a part of my life. So definitely check out that episode. Ty has some great stories, and he dropped a lot of knowledge. And then after Ty, we had the Lord Goat. People are like, what?
Lord
Goat. Yeah, so Lord Goat, formerly known as Gore-Tex, of Non-Phixion and Heavy Metal Kings.
Yeah, buddy.
2 powerhouse hip-hop groups. For those that don't know, Non-Phixion came out in about the mid to late 90s. They had some major label potential record deals from major labels, and then they ended up just going on the indie scene and crushing it. Dropped a classic album called The Future Is Now. If you've never heard that album, go listen to it ASAP. Straight up raw fucking hip-hop at its finest. And a lot of people out there probably know Ill Bill. You know what I'm saying? La Coca Nostra. Ill Bill's one of the
Jedi Mind Tricks.
Well, yeah, associated with Jedi Mind Tricks. He's one of the founding members of Nonfiction. But Lord Goat, aka Gore-Tex, is also one of the original members, and he's told us some crazy stories about the music industry.
Yeah, for sure.
Hanging out with Russell Simmons in his penthouse.
Yeah, man.
Drinking orange juice. Fucking the Cher bed with the handcuffs.
Yeah,
Russell Simmons had a bed from that he got from Cher, and it had handcuffs on it, and he was like, yo, me and Bill were just staring at this bed like, yo, this shit's crazy, you know? And there's a lot of other great music, hip-hop, history. He's also a big heavy metal and punk rock hardcore dude into that scene as well. And all those guys are, which is another thing I've always related to, and the whole heavy metal Kings hip-hop, but with the metal theme is dope. So make sure you check out that episode. Check out his newest album with Stu Bangers.
Just came out like
Final Expenses
2 months ago. Within 2 months,
yeah, it's a really dope album. He had kind of been off the scene for a while, and then you heard him on the latest Heavy Metal Kings album, and I was like, oh shit, he's Gore-Tex is back, and then he was dropping some other stuff on some other people's shit, and then he just dropped this album now with Stu Bangers, and it's fire front to back. So big ups to Lord Goat. Support everything that he's doing musically. Support the whole independent hip-hop scene, the whole independent music scene, because that's where the real shit is, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Especially now with COVID, man, everybody needs everybody's support.
Yeah, go online.
They ain't no shows going on. It's just merch.
No.
Listen to the music, share the stuff. Even a share could get you something. You know what I mean?
Man.
Share it, like it. Just share away.
Yeah, man.
Because, you might not want to buy a fucking hoodie or something, but maybe you sharing it and, you got 500 people see it, then maybe somebody, 1 or 2 people might,
Yeah, and he, I don't think it's out yet, but there's a pre-order for they're dropping vinyl for the Final Expenses album, and a lot of people are into vinyl, so make sure you go and pre-order the vinyl and get it when it's out. It's dope to have, records on hand, fucking hard copies with the artwork and everything. I'm sure the package they're putting together is going to be dope, so get that Final Expenses vinyl when it drops, and just, like I said, support the fucking movement of independent music, because the artists, that's what we need, man. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. All right, so that was the last 4 guests. Anything you want to talk about?
Whatever you want to talk about, bud.
Well, actually, before we do have one thing we kind of want to do, like a little spotlight back to the true crime genre. But before that, just plug, actually, speaking of music, I don't plug my music too much on this podcast, but I'm going to plug it quick. I was actually going to bring the song to play, but then I just remembered.
Unbelievable.
But I recently dropped a single called The Space Between Thoughts. You can get it on all digital platforms. I just dropped the one song single real quick because that's the move nowadays, drop singles and EPs. So if you're listening to this, go check out my single, Lord Willin'. Okay, The Space Between Thoughts is out there on all digital platforms, and I'm going to be dropping more music soon, so stay tuned for that. But I had to give myself a little quick promo, So I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, man, check out his shit, share it, like it, man. All that fun stuff.
That's me on the intro, by the way, if you didn't know.
Oh, yeah, man. I'm pretty sure everybody figured out your voice by now.
So, yeah, man, we're going to do a little spotlight on a notorious gangland figure.
Howard, a.k.a. Howie Winter.
Yeah, he just recently passed away November 12th. And for those
91 years old.
91.
Fucking poor bastard.
That's a long life, man. For those that don't know, everyone knows Whitey Bulger, you know what I'm saying? Because Whitey was infamous. He was a long-time FBI informant.
He's been in the news lately.
Yes. There's been a ton of books, movies wrote on him.
Actually, shout out to Dave Wedge, too. Hunting Whitey, grab his book.
That's a great read, too.
Yeah, we did a podcast on him. You guys should go back and listen to it.
If you haven't heard the Dave Wedge episode.
Smoking weed with Biggie and shit.
Yeah, man. That was a great one.
Good stories in that one.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dave Wedge.
Yeah, definitely. Great guy and great journalist, author.
Catch his book, Hunting Whitey.
Hunting Whitey. And they're just dropping one about the John Lennon assassination. That's coming out soon, too. But yeah, so everybody knows Whitey. Obviously, Black Mass came out, the movie.
And Whitey was part and ran the what gang?
The Winter Hill Gang. Well, so Whitey was on the run for 16 years, so that added to his legacy of mystique.
Free Freddy.
Yeah. But So anyway, Howie Winter, though, was one of the original Winter Hill gang members. You know what I'm saying? This is dating back to probably the 40s. And the name, it actually comes from Winter Hill.
I think it was
it's a street.
60s.
Yeah, well, that's when the Irish gang war was, but I think the gang actually might date back to before that. I think it was more like post World War II. But Winter Hill is a street in Somerville. If you're familiar with Somerville, it's on a hill, hence the name. And that's where the origins of the name came from. It's not actually because Howie Winter's last name is Winter. Some people might think that. But yeah, man, he was a gangland legend. He was born in Boston on March 17th, St. Patrick's Day, 1929. He was of German and Irish descent. And he served in World War II in the United States Marine Corps.
Hoorah.
Yeah, man. You had aspirations of at one point, right? Joining the Marines.
Yeah, I was. I went to PT and all that shit, but
yeah,
didn't graduate. So
well,
got the boot.
Who knows where you would have been if you would have did that?
Probably fucking in the ground.
Oh yeah. So it's probably better you didn't then. So Winter was actually he was the right hand man of James Buddy McLean, who was the originator of the Winter Hill Gang, and McLean was killed during the Irish Mob Wars in 1965, which I've read about quite a bit. And so for those that don't know, back in Boston in the 60s, this all-out fucking war broke out between two Irish gangs, guys from Charlestown, guys from Southie, guys from Somerville. And it was a bloody war. I think over 60 people were killed, including James Buddy McLean. Whitey Bulger was involved with that. He was like a enforcer during that time. And so, Howie was involved with the Winter Hill Gang during this period, this fucking bloody fucking war. And then I think once McLean died and the war was over, Howie took over as the boss of the gang, and ran the operations. I think they did a lot of bookmaking. There's actually a really good book called, a lot of people probably don't know about it, but I've read it. I have it. It's called Citizen Somerville, and it's written by a guy. His father worked for Howie.
You told me about this.
Yeah, their base of operations was out of an auto body shop, I believe, and the guys who owned that, his son wrote this book. So he had like inside fucking information and interviews from people involved in that world that were not rats. You know what I'm saying? It's a good read, Citizen Somerville. It gives you a different perspective because everyone has read the Whitey Bulger perspective because that's the most famous, but there's couple other books out there. Yeah, man. It's a good read because you get a little bit of a different side of things.
And it's not law enforcement side. So usually more a rat side, really.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, dude, I was just telling someone this. If it comes down to the rats.
You're telling me.
I was telling you, yeah.
I'd rather read what the police say.
I'd rather read what the police say because, at least I think that they're going to be honest from their law enforcement perspective, whereas the rats, you don't know what the fuck
Yeah.
Because they're rats. They're lying already.
Stop giving them fucking...
And stop glorifying them.
Yeah, man. Stop giving them props.
Defund police informants.
Absolutely. Shout out to Omerta.
Omerta just dropped that shirt. Yeah, that's great. So Winter ended up facing charges on a horse racing Phixion case. They were Phixion horse races. And he ended up going to jail. And that's when Whitey Bulger took over and replaced him and started running things. And... and that's when the game kind of changed, I guess. I mean, I think Whitey was pretty brutal. He was pretty ruthless.
Yeah, after his kid died.
That's right.
I think he really fucking just
lost it. I mean, he was already crazy.
He was already crazy anyway, and then they talk about the LSD treatments and Alcatraz.
Yeah.
He was nuts regardless, even before that. He's a sociopath. But
he was definitely a sociopath.
Once his kid died, I feel like it kind of went to shit. He just didn't give a. He went he just didn't care. All strengths were off, and around that same time, he also kind of got a bigger celebrity status with the FBI being able to kind of let him do whatever the fuck he wanted. And they talk about that. He went from some little mid-level fucking street gangster to a fucking kingpin overnight.
Right. Well, that's and the thing is too, people don't realize is that Steve Flemmi was actually the original rat. He was ratting before Whitey. I think he was an informant, I want to say, since maybe the 60s. And
the whole fucking crew.
And he brought Whitey in. I think he's kind of the one that brought him around and suggested that, you know, he start giving information.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but everybody, the Fleming, Kevin Week, and John Monterano, they're all rats.
Yeah, they all ratted. The thing is, once those guys
ratted on each other.
Well, exactly. Once those guys found out that Whitey was a rat, they said, "Fuck it. Well, we're just gonna give up all the information that we have."
Yep, they all just told on each other, and then Whitey just jumped ship. He had a good run.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, he did. You know, I mean, that world, it's cutthroat, man. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, to get it for 16,
very Machiavellian.
16 years on the run, that's a good run.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to read about that, go get Dave Wedge's book,
Hunting Whitey. And it's not like every other Whitey book you're going to read. It's not about him per se and Southie and coming up and being a gangster. It's about letters written to people.
Yes,
a lot of stuff you have not heard in any other book, guaranteed.
And there's a spotlight on Springfield.
Yeah, Springfield, Massachusetts. My club there. Shout out to Mardi Gras, Springfield. 91 Taylor Street. We're not really open. Not really open yet, but Springfield, Mass. Guys, check it out once we're open. Ask for Rob, and I'll take care of you once we get some titties in there. But
yes.
Until we get a fate.
Unleash the titties.
Yeah, free the nipple, please.
So let's go back to Howie Winter. So he was released from prison in 1987. And he relocated to St. Louis, where he was in contact with gang associate James Gentleman Jim Mulvey and close friend of Raymond L.S. Patriarca.
Shout out to
So there is the Providence connection. You know what I'm saying? 93, he was caught dealing cocaine when the FBI informed him that Bulger had been an informant all those years. And they offered Winter a deal if he would inform on Bulger. So now they're saying, look, Bulger's a rat. So if you give us information about Bulger, we're going to let you go. And then some of the Bulger's guys said, okay, we'll give it up. Winter said no. He refused to rat on the rat. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And he ended up, he ended up doing jail time because of it. He said, fuck it. That's a fucking gangster.
Well, actually.
You know what I mean?
Whatchamacallit? Jerry. They tried to get him to rat on to tell, and it would have reduced Harold, his brother's sentence.
Oh, that's right.
And he says, nope.
That's
gangster.
Last of a dying breed, man.
Yeah, man. You don't get that.
You choose that life, then
that's that life.
Have to abide by the rules.
Not when you get caught until it's not good for you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
A real fucking gangster, a real stand-up guy is going to uphold those principles even under great pressure, you know? Even when they come to you and say, look, this guy's an informant for the FBI, just give us some information. Who cares? He's a fucking rat anyway. And you say, nah, man.
Yeah, and they were probably investigating him, too, because they knew he was doing shit because he wasn't supposed to kill anybody when he was under FBI
No, but,
protection.
you know, the feds always break those. They were breaking those fucking
John
rules.
Connolly fucking...
Oh, my God. He was the worst one.
He was a fucking gangster on everybody, dude. Really, he didn't rat. He didn't tell on anybody.
I don't think so.
No, he didn't. They tried to get him to tell on Whitey and shit, and nope. Fucking kid, the guy's fucking the FBI agent had more stones than anybody else.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Well, I've heard varying opinions about him, but I guess you're right.
I'll talk to him. Well, what do you mean? What opinions?
Well, obviously he's a Fed, so people are like, yeah, fuck him. You know what I'm
but
saying?
He was a Fed, but at the same time. He wasn't really. He was a crooked fucking. You know what I mean?
He was a crooked federal agent for sure. Saying? I mean, he's doing life in prison for fucking murder.
He's the only one.
I mean, he was giving these guys information to go kill fucking CEOs of World Highlight and fucking all that shit. Like, but that's the fucked up thing to me is like, I wonder. He was from Southie. He was from the same neighborhood as Whitey. I wonder if. Like, you see The Departed, right? And then Jack Nicholson's character places Matt Damon's character into the police saying, they groomed him and said, I wonder, now it's never came out, but I wonder if that's what happened with John Conley. Or did he just join the bureau?
I mean, and I don't know if Whitey Hell, that was from Black Mass, but then Black Mass, he says, and I got Kevin Weeks' book downstairs too, but he's a rat, but he said that.
Yeah, I've read it. Brutal.
He said that he, I lost my train of thought, dude.
We're talking about John Conley. Well, I brought up the question of, I wonder if someone influenced him to get into law enforcement.
So that's right. In the back, and then
they could have someone on the inside.
He said that he's like, I think he was talking to his wife or something. He's like, you don't understand. He goes, Jimmy took care of me when I was a kid. We're from the same neighborhood, or maybe it could have been Howie Winter. You know what I mean? Or he probably grew up in South idolizing Howie.
Well, Howie's different though because he's from a different neighborhood than he was from Somerville.
So they ran the whole thing though. Oh no.
That was pre. No, that's two totally different neighborhoods. You know
who was running Southie then?
Back in, I don't know. I mean, the old days, there was probably some other gang. There's some other guys. I forget.
Interesting. Look that up.
But what I'm saying is I wonder if I mean, throughout the course of history, have they placed fucking guys in law enforcement to fucking so they have someone on the inside? Of course they have.
But they never brought that up. But that's because it's, I mean, it makes sense. Because if he's really like that, and he really did, he kept his fucking mouth shut.
Yeah.
And he took it to the FBI for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't, he didn't really listen to any of his superiors, and he was giving them bullshit.
Yeah, no, true.
But they did take down the Angelos.
Well, that's based on information that Whitey gave.
Yep.
Yeah. So you can't, some people at first tried to say, well, Whitey's not a rat. What do you mean? No way. Well, it came out. FBI documentation has come out.
And going back to, the 20s, Lucky Luciano ratted. They all ratted for different reasons back then, but not really. They would, at that point,
they were
telling on other drug dealers or other rackets.
Well,
so the police would arrest them so their racket could thrive.
Exactly. They put Vito Genovese in jail. They set him up. You know what I'm saying? So there was a lot of that Machiavellian treachery taking place. And that's just the world of crime. You know what I'm saying?
But at the end of the day, you got to remember we're all criminals. Fucking.
Well, but again, certain neighborhoods, certain places that, I know Boston has always been big on the code of silence. Certain neighborhoods, I mean, things have changed, but for the longest time, places like Southie, places like Charlestown, places like Somerville. There was that code of silence. You know what I'm saying? There was that we don't deal with law enforcement. We don't talk to the police. We deal with things our own way in our own neighborhood. And I like that. It's like a tribal kind of mindset. You know what I'm saying? Kind of primitive. Like it stays. I'd rather do that. It stays within our tribe. If someone does something, then we're going to handle it. You know what I'm saying?
I'd rather be. I mean, and that's
why leave it into the hands of people of strangers.
That's even that's even city life too a little bit. I mean, we can refer to Tuxedo Ave, dude. I never had a problem on that neighborhood, but we were in the best neighborhood. You know what I mean? Right at the end of Atwell. So, but at the same time, now I'm in a nice neighborhood, and I love the neighborhood. But then everybody on my street knows what the fuck I'm doing. They're all in my business. If I have cars in my driveway, I could have people over till 7 a.m, and nobody said nothing.
Right.
Nobody looks at you. You know what I mean? It's
people mind their own business.
They mind your business. Here, everybody minds my business. Yeah. Which is good in a way.
Nosy neighbors.
I don't do shit, so I know if something was to happen to the house, if I wasn't here, they would know. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's good. But it's
I guess
annoying.
Well, it depends where you're at in life.
It's good, but it's annoying. Yeah, because I'm not doing shit, so I don't care. But it's fucking annoying. Too.
It depends what you're doing.
Yeah.
But I understand that code, the code of silence. There's certain ways that things should be handled, but obviously there's been cracks and leaks in that code for a long time. You know what I'm saying? And Hoya said it. One thing he said, he goes, if you want to get involved in that life, then you got to stick by those principles. That's it.
Well, that's how it should be.
If the police are there, if you're a regular person, you're a civilian, you're just living your day-to-day and doing whatever you do in your normal life, the police are there for you. You know what I'm saying? That's why they're there. But there's this code that comes from the old countries, like
Omerta.
Sicily, like Omerta from Sicily, where they came up with these laws. They had their own governing bodies, their own codes. We're gonna police ourselves. We're gonna handle ourselves. We're gonna give our own fucking sentences and our own retribution and our own way of handling things, our own justice, street justice.
That's what it would be.
That's what you want to call it.
The only problem is through time. You can't fucking kill people in the middle of the street because somebody got to clean that up. At the same time, police are probably never called for any domestic disturbances in the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If people were doing something wrong, they weren't from the neighborhood, they'll take care of it. So we're not bothering the police anyway. They can deal with their own problems.
Right.
Write fucking tickets or take a nap or go to Dunkin' or something. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like, there's tons of other things you can do besides, like, harassing these people that live in the neighborhood. And that's how Atwell's and Federal Hill used to be.
Well, you know what it is, too, is I think there's been so much injustice within our system, within our, the system of law, that people were turned off by it. And they said, well, we'd rather handle it in our own way, the way that we see just, and why are we going to leave it to the hands of strangers?
Well, and another thing is, once the big population of immigrants came to this country and the mass amount of people, there wasn't probably, like, you don't really hear too much about law enforcement before the 20s anyway. You know what I mean? If you think about it.
No.
I mean, there was always, like,
they were there,
but you don't, you know what I mean? You never.
Well, dude, look at cops in the law enforcement in the Wild West. Some of these towns had one sheriff.
Yeah.
And you had a band of outlaws. What the fuck is one sheriff going to do?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or worse. You know what I mean? Yeah. And a lot of city cops,
so the guy's like 75, then he has some 18-year-old kid with him.
And you know what it was too, is back in those days, the cops made nothing. Money.
Yeah. They made money from fucking them shakedowns and shit.
Well, exactly, but they were more
you're making
corruptible.
You're making $20 a week. Well, I'm just going to give you $100 right now.
Exactly,
and you get the fuck out of here.
You turn the other way.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, obviously the government had
that was a big part of it. Was all money, obviously.
Yeah.
For corruptibility. I mean, look at the judges, lawyers, anybody.
Right.
Back then.
Well, they started now they obviously make more money and benefits and everything. So. They're not as easy to corrupt, and that's why you don't see those relationships between organized crime and law enforcement like you used to.
Yeah.
Because they don't, if a cop's making a pretty good salary, he's not going to risk his job taking a bribe from a gangster, you know what I'm saying, or an organized crime figure. They're more apt to just, although police corruption definitely does still exist. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
without a
no question about
doubt.
it.
And several different. I'm not gonna.
I mean, they don't make that much money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
making
like a starting off
50,
rookie cop. What do you make, $40,000 a year? Probably.
Yeah, but and like these cops are dealing with shit too. Like I know a lot. I'm friends with tons and tons of fucking law enforcement because of the club and stuff, and they're just regular fucking dudes. Some of these guys got other jobs, and they pick up every overtime, every road detail. Yeah. You know what I mean? And they got to deal with the shit, especially like out in Springfield where the club is. Like, it's fucking bad down there. So, like, you got to deal with half the these fucking kids are packing heat anyway. You know what I mean? You got to deal with the heroin, and you got to deal with going to all this shit. Depends where you are. Maybe in fucking Wyoming somewhere, like, you know what I mean? Like, the sheriff scenario is a little different. But how much are they making? $15, $17 an hour?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, no, I know. I mean, so I don't think the corruption. It's just different now. It's a different form of corruption. We don't have to get into a whole tangent about that, but back in the early days, it was when certain organizations had control of the neighborhoods. They could more easily manipulate law enforcement.
Yeah, and what I would say is law enforcement that maybe necessarily isn't corrupt. Well, they're corrupt, but not for any really funds either. They're doing it for just because, like, kind of the scenarios when you have relationships with the people.
Look at Michael Dowd, the 7'5" dude. If you haven't seen that documentary,
wicked good.
Those guys. I mean, he basically said, "I was a cop, but I basically became a drug dealer." And they were just going and robbing drug dealers and fucking selling. They were working for other drug organizations, and this is like in the 80s.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the 7'5".
That's a crazy documentary.
Dude, they were fucking cowboys.
They were, dude. Yeah, man. If you haven't seen that, check that out. That's an eye-opening documentary.
Yeah, I think it's on Netflix actually.
And then you also got the mafia cops, Caracappa and Eppolito. I think they're coming out with a movie on them.
There were two cops.
They worked for the I think it was the Lucchese family, and they were doing hits.
They grabbed fucking the dude fucking Casso put the hit on gas pipe. The dude that fucking shot him. They kidnapped him. And so the mother said it, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, last time I seen my son, he was with these two cops. They threw him in the trunk.
Yeah, right. That's how they got. Yeah, they got. Well, no, you know what happened was
trouble because of the book.
Yeah, one of them decided to write a book. Right, these guys
fucking
got off.
Genius.
These guys got off. Right, they went to fucking Vegas, retired and shit. One of them decides to write a book, and he goes on like Jenny Jones, and the mother. So they had taken this kid and they killed him on orders. I think it was gas pipe, right? And the mother of the victim of the kid.
Wouldn't have known.
But she was happened to be watching like the fucking TV show. I think it was fucking Jenny Jones or one of those shows. And she goes, that's the guy from that day that came and got my son, the police officer. And she ended up fucking phoning the police,
FBI
the FBI. And that's how they got pinched.
Fucking
you know what I mean?
Genius.
Because they wanted to write a book.
Fucking genius.
You write a book like
fucking retards.
Yeah, and then
you're fucking doing hits for the mob, and fucking you're gonna write a book. Yeah. After you made it, you dumb motherfucker. You greedy cocksucker.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Well,
fucking greed will get you, dude.
Yeah, man. But so back to Howie Winter a little bit here. He was released in prison in July of 2002. And from there, he worked out of his home in Millbury, Massachusetts as a property manager. But in 2012, Winter was arrested on charges of extorting money from two people. He was released on bail, and as of 2015, the trial was still pending, but I don't think he did any time for that. And, yeah, man, he passed away a couple weeks ago, November 12th. He had one son, Howard E. Winter. Yeah, man, he was one of the last of the old school, Boston Irish gangsters. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I know, I know some people that knew him out in Somerville, and it's kind of like how we talk about some of these other guys. How they were just like, he was a staple of the neighborhood, of the community. He looked out for people. He helped people out. He was revered by the residents of Somerville. You know what I'm saying? Like, many of the old time gangland figures are, local legends, that we're not seeing, there's not too many of them left. They're up there in age, or they're already dead or doing life, So, rest in peace, Howie Winter. That was a little spotlight that we did. We'll be doing more of those.
Depends on what happens. What? Hopefully we won't be doing two more of them. But
what do you mean?
Well, people died.
Well, I mean, that's inevitable.
Well, I know. Well, I mean, there's not really many other people.
No, well, maybe we'll do some spotlights on ones that are already dead. But I know there's a lot of true crime fans out there, so we want to bring you some more true crime.
Probably a lot of people don't know who Howie Winter even was.
Exactly. So look up Howie Winter. Check out that Citizen Somerville book. I don't think there's actually a book written on him, but I'm sure now maybe someone will. But he's a big part of that Citizen Somerville book. It's a good read. Just get it on Amazon. You probably won't be able to find it in bookstores at this point, but it's definitely a good read. There's a lot of good books out there.
Man. Also, once more time, Dave Wedge. Shout out to Dave Wedge. Hunting Whitey. Definitely check that out.
Yeah, that's a different side of the story, but that's a good read as well. Yeah, you got anything else?
That's it, man.
All right, cool, man. So that was our monthly recap. Shout out to all the listeners, people supporting us out there. We're getting a lot of love, and we're just grinding with this podcast.
Yeah, keep pushing episodes out. We got tons more stuff already recorded.
Yeah, we got tons more guests. A lot more episodes
different guests too. Not just we're reaching for every people from all walks of life.
Definitely, man. If you think you'd be a good guest, or you know someone that would be, get in contact with us.
Yeah,
we're all in favor of supporting local businesses or businesses beyond local, or people coming up, interesting stories.
Yeah, we got a doctor coming on. We have the Taoist priest. We got a bunch of things.
Keep those under wraps, but we got some interesting episodes coming out, and we're just grinding. So support the show. You hear the commercials. Make sure you support that Patreon, that PayPal. Like and share our stuff. Follow us on Apple, on Spotify. Give us the 5-star rating. Man.
Yeah, if you guys are having trouble finding where to hear us, even though you shouldn't be, because you're listening to us right now.
Right.
But if somebody else is asking, you can go to our link tree. That's
Linktree.
linktr.ee/Street Corner Soapbox.
Yeah, the Linktree has all of our links in one place. So
everything, our website, everything, anything you can think of, you can just click it and then boom.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Word.
Easy peasy.
All right, so signing off.
That's it, guys. Street Corner Soapbox. We're fucking out of here.
Peace.
The Street Corner Soapbox.
If you're a fan of the podcast, you can help support the show by donating to our PayPal at paypal.me/Street Corner Soapbox.
That's right, guys. Make sure to like and share all of our episodes. And for easier access to our show, check out our link tree at linktr.ee/Street Corner Soapbox.